Hello and welcome to China Biz. Now, last week, Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei sponsored Spanish soccer team Atletico Madrid in a one-time deal for their league game against crosstown rivals Real Madrid, a game that had significant viewership both in Spain as well as on China's national broadcaster CCTV. It follows short-term sponsorship deals by Chinese internet firms Sina and Renren earlier this season with another Spanish soccer club, Villarreal. Earlier, I spoke to Andre Loza-Krug Pietri from A Capital, a firm that deals specifically in Chinese investments abroad, to get his thoughts on this recent trend.
These firms who are so important in China, I mean Sina, Renren, are absolutely unknown in Europe or in the US. It's a question of becoming recognized, both in the eyes of the Chinese public and also probably also to prepare some kind of development in these markets. Most of these big Chinese firms are still very domestically focused. I mean, when you take Forbes 500 ranking, you have, I think, 65 or 66 Chinese firms who are there by sheer size. But when you look at their global exposure, these are not multinational companies. These are still large domestic firms. And it's just a sense of history that these firms at one point will want to expand. I think those who do it the first, it's not a surprise that these are companies which are very involved in global markets. Solar industry, obviously a very strong focus in Europe. And I think for internet companies, by definition, these are scalable and international businesses. So I'm not surprised that they are going this way.
I'm joined now in the studio by Ryan Sandilands, the Managing Director for China with Octagon, one of the world's leading sports marketing firms. Ryan, what's your take on these Spanish soccer sponsorship deals? Do you think it's more about building brand awareness overseas, or do these Chinese firms want to showcase how well they're doing to a domestic audience?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of both, really, and it really depends on the specific brands. Sina and Renren, the focus is going to be really on the domestic audience. Huawei are actively encouraged and are actively looking to take their brand and their products beyond China, and so in that instance they're more likely to be interested in the Spanish market. But the reality is, putting your name on a shirt or a board for one match is not really going to make that much difference.
Now, in most of these cases, is it the Chinese companies trying to tout their services to the Spanish markets or other markets, or is it the Spanish teams looking for Chinese sponsors?
It's the Spanish teams coming here. And I think for these particular deals, it was a visit by the president of the club who came on a fact-finding mission, meeting as many companies as possible and trying to encourage Chinese companies to invest in his team.
Now, we've seen obviously two internet firms there in Huawei Telecommunications. There's also some solar companies. We have Ingli Solar, an official World Cup sponsor, with also partnerships with US Soccer and Bayern Munich. We've got Jinko Solar, who now sponsors Valencia, also had a tie-up with an NFL team in the US. And then Trina Solar is the official partner of the Lotus Formula One team. What is it about these solar companies?
I think if you look at the soccer investments in Germany and also in Spain, and to the list of Chinese solar companies, you can add Korean solar companies as well. It's all driven by the government, who are actively pushing alternative energy sources. So they're the German government has said they're going to be out of nuclear by 2020. So the German solar market, which was already the biggest, is expanding quickly. And so there's a lot of companies saying, well, I want to be part of that.
And how big are some of these deals?
For Yingli, they really raised a lot of eyebrows when they signed on to perhaps pay $25–30 million to become a World Cup sponsor, and then also surprised people when they renewed to sponsor the tournament in Brazil in 2014.
Now, going back to the Huawei deal, of course, last week with Atletico Madrid, 10 years ago we saw another Chinese telecommunications company, Kejian, sponsor Everton for a few seasons. Kejian's now in bankruptcy reorganization, so it hasn't panned out for them at all. How wary do you think companies like Huawei need to be of overreaching?
I think they need to apply the same rigor as they do to any large-scale business investment. Understand what it is they want to get from the sponsorship, negotiate the right price for the right set of rights and benefits, activate the deal properly, and then measure it as well. It's very easy to spend a lot of money in sports sponsorship. It's very easy to find companies and sports teams that are ready to take your money. Making it a worthwhile investment, guaranteeing or making sure you're getting some positive return on investment, that's the challenge.
Ryan, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
That's all for today here on China Biz. I'm Mark Dreyer. Thanks for watching and goodbye.